So I have done a few videos now of what it's like to work and live in Costa Rica running a US based web development company, small company. And today I wanted to talk about a very important fact that you got to think about when moving abroad. And that is, do clients care that I live in Costa Rica? Well, some of my clients don't even know I live in Costa Rica. Others joke I must be working from the beach all day, but does my location actually matter? With remote work as the norm, does a web developer's location actually make a difference? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how clients react when they find out I'm not in the US. So honestly, a lot of my clients have no idea where I'm based. It's just never come up. I'm not trying to fool them. If they asked, I would tell them, but it just hasn't come up. And there was no reason for them to ask. And so they don't know. It's kind of funny because we are a Virginia-based LLC. I have a business partner who works out of Virginia. Our mailing address, so that I can have all my mail scanned and so on, is a New York address. And then I live here in Costa Rica. So, when people start to really look where my little company is there an answer? In fact, I had a client years ago who goes, "Wow, you must be doing really well. You've got a place in Alexandria, Virginia. You work out of DC. You live in Costa Rica, and you've got a place in New York." And I was like, wow, that does sound pretty good. But the place in New York is a P.O. box. The Virginia place is now just a LLC incorporation. Washington, D.C. is what we say, because a lot of our clients are from there. And I do, in fact, live in Costa Rica. So it's not quite as fancy as it all sounds. And let's be honest. Everything is handled through email, support tickets, and Zoom calls. Just like any remote agency. Especially post-pandemic, it's not a thing. Now, granted, I made this move over 10 years ago, and I think things were different. I think people cared a little bit more. And I would have clients or potential clients call up and they'd ask, "Where are you located?" And I'd say, "Well, personally, I live in Costa Rica, but it's a Virginia company, blah, blah, blah." And there'd always be this pause and be like, "Oh, we were hoping for someone local." I'm like, "Well, hey, you called a Virginia number and I answered." And that line alone would usually put them at ease. I can probably count on one hand how many client or potential clients I've lost over the years because of my location. So I don't think it's a big deal. So what happens when clients do care? Some clients are curious, but it doesn't usually change anything. I get a lot of questions about what it's like. I get told all the time how jealous they are. I always have to explain to them how, real life catches up with you. It's not all beach days and afternoon cold beers in the sun. They might ask questions, but as long as I'm responsive to their support tickets, their phone calls, I show up at my meetings, generally, they don't care. A few assume it's a problem or going to be a problem and are kind of wary of it at first. I have clients who have been with me for years who are like, "Well, we'll try it out." And you know what? It has never come up because everything just works seamlessly. I've got a Virginia phone number, but we don't even talk on that because everything is a support ticket or an email, or if we've got to meet, it's by Zoom. And everything is fine. The jokes about living on the beach by some clients, let me tell you, they get old. They may assume that I am on vacation and just getting off the beach for our meeting and so on. But I think most of them quickly learn that I'm working just like them and everyone else, and my priorities are often their priorities, and it's not hanging out on sunny beaches with cocktails and so on. I think that there are probably some people out there that just don't like the idea, and that's fine. That's fine. I think there's enough business out there that I don't need to worry about that. So, from a bigger picture, we've never had an office. I mean, this company is pushing, what, 14 years old now, and we've never had an office. Everyone who's ever worked with us has worked remotely. I've worked from home. For a little while, I did use a co working space in downtown Washington, D.C., but it's all still remote. And if you're going to have a problem with remote, you're not going to like the fact that our DevOps team is based in India. So I think it's a global economy, and I used to fight it. I used to be like, US only, this, that, America, blah, blah, blah. But now I think it's a global economy. And so here I am in Costa Rica. My partner's in Virginia. Our DevOps team is in India. And I think there aren't any problems with it. I think there are some old school perceptions on how that might work, but I think for most folks, it's not a challenge to get over, to be honest. I mean, because it's all about communication. Clients care about response time and reliability, not where I am. Support is 100% online anyway. Most issues are handled via email, tickets, scheduled calls, and so on. And let's be honest, the world has changed. I mean, like I said, I want to pretend I'm some kind of rebel because I did this move in 2010. But, the pre-COVID world is over, where some people hesitated before making the move. Now it's borderline expected that you be able to move around throughout your professional life and are no longer tied to a single location or office and so on. And I know different businesses have different philosophies, and that's fine. So I do think it can work. It has worked for me. So at the end of the day, clients want results. And if you can deliver what they need, they're not going to care whether you're in Virginia, Costa Rica, Europe. They're just not going to care all that much. In fact, if anything, they're nice icebreakers and conversation starters. That's it. For most businesses, geography is irrelevant, and web development is one of those. So I say take advantage of it. Go where you want to live. We could get into a whole nother thing about work-life balance. So I'm not going to go there, but that obviously plays a part in it. And what matters at the end of the day is simply being reliable and responsive and getting the job done.